gosh, that was so surprising and moving. I had no idea that was going to happen. Oh my gosh, that's my beautiful daughter, Mary Chiefo. I am a mom first, let me tell you. My best creation is Mary Chiefo. And I'm so proud that we have her father's sister and her family, the Regans, from all over Massachusetts with us. Thank y'all so much for coming to support us. Good family. Oh gosh, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Ivy. Thank you all so much. I have to say, I am so moved by this and so humbled. And last night we had dinner with the board of directors, Beth and everyone, and you know, there are so many of these films that I haven't seen, and I really want to join the Chlotrudis Society, and I hope I'll be a member by this time next year, and because I need your newsletters and emails. I need to know what movies to go to see. You know, we earn our living making movies, but we don't see everything, and so I'm very moved and encouraged, and I feel like I'll be better educated now. They were asking me last night, though, about some audition experiences I've had, and I thought I'd talk about Donnie Darko, because I think a lot of you like Donnie Darko. And it was indeed a very interesting audition process. My daughter, my husband, and I were scheduled to go on vacation to San Diego. We had a house that we bought at a silent auction for a weekend. And we never go on vacation. We've had 3 in our entire marriage. So it was a really big deal. And just as we were packing up and getting ready to leave, my agent called and said they had 2 scripts for me. And she said, and this other one is a script called Donnie Darko. And I said, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to go to San Diego if I read these 2 scripts. And I said, so they sent the scripts over, and I opened Donnie Darko to the page that talks about mice feces. And I said, oh my God. This is one of those silly teenage movies in Hollywood. I don't want to do it. I said, I'm going to say yes to the Horton Foote play without even reading it, but I'm not going to read Donnie Darko. I'm just going to pass. And my husband said, you're an actress. You have to read the material. And so he wouldn't let me go to the vacation. He and Mary left without me. So I read the Horton Foote play, loved it, called my agent, said yes, I want to do the Horton Foote play. So by the time I got around to reading Donnie Darko, I'd had dinner and I was putting it off. And then I noticed that Jake Gyllenhaal was starring in it. Well, my nieces who live in Los Angeles had been friends with Jake since they were 3 years old. And I remember Jake when he was about 3 and a half, 4 years old, running across my brother-in-law's lawn, and he was just like you know and love him now, this spirited boy with these big blue eyes and this great energy, and he was running across the lawn and going, Maggie, Sarah, Maggie, Sarah. And I said to my sister-in-law, who is that darling child? And she said, his name's Jake, and he's best friends with Maggie and Sarah. They stayed best friends all the way through grammar school, and we're still friends in high school. So Michael, my husband, and I actually taught Jake an acting class. And we take credit for his entire career. We taught theater games for 6 weeks, 1 class a week. So I think we do deserve credit. He was terrific at the theater games. And so anyway, I had known Jake, and so the thought of acting with him was just a hoot. So that got me a little bit more interested. So I started reading, and I read the first page, second page, third page, 4th page, 5th page. By the time I finished the script, you know the ending, I burst into tears, and I looked, and I was standing in the middle of my bed. Standing. I didn't even realize I had gotten to my feet. And I knew that I had discovered a new voice in the world, in filmmaking, an artist. And I was so excited, and there was no one to call. It was back before we had really good cell phones. So I tried to call my husband in San Diego, and I couldn't get through. There was this 11:30 at night. So all night long, I'm channeling Kitty Farmer. Kitty Farmer, Kitty Farmer. And she reminded me of my 9th grade PE coach, who the main thing I remember is that she had very pointy little breasts. She had those little, you know, round breasts, those, you know what I'm talking about, like Madonna wears. And so I didn't have one of those bras on hand. But I knew that she had to be very neat, fastidious. I got a scarf and tied around her very tightly, like she was choking. And my little blouse, I had this perfect little outfit. And I virtually flew to Universal Studios. I rarely want a part that badly. And I got there and I'm waiting in the waiting room, waiting. So when I blew into that room, poor Richard Kelly and Sean McKittrick, I'm sure their hair flew behind their heads. And so I'm sitting there trying very patiently to listen to everything Richard's telling me about the character. And I'm going, yeah. And so I got up to do the reading, and it was indeed that scene that you just saw. And I got to the end and I said, sometimes I doubt your commitment to miracles in motion. And then I'm like, oh shoot, you just got to give me this part. And Sean told me later that the minute I walked in, I was like a hurricane, and I had the part before I opened my mouth. They knew they had found Kitty. And then they told me that Patrick Swayze was going to be playing Jim Cunningham, my hero in the movie. And Patrick and I were in acting class together. And we had worked on Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf together. He had played Nick and I played Martha. And we had done Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar together. So, and he was kind of a hero to me. And this is the last, I won't talk too much longer, but the little story, I promise, Mary's getting nervous. I said, yell the hook. But first of all, I just want to say, Michael, your speech was so beautiful. Thank you so much. And you know, one of the great themes of Donnie Darko, I think, is to pay attention, to be awake in life. And Mary and I have talked about that so much, to live awake. And I feel that I do that, and I feel that she does that, and that you were paying attention to the work that I was doing all these years. It means more to me than I can ever express. I am so thrilled and deeply, deeply honored about this.